Chapter 7, Harmony, Putting It All Together, in which dopamine and the here and nows find balance. The delicate balance between dopamine and the here and nows. A middle-aged man went to see a specialist to have his depression treated. In addition to feeling sad and hopeless, he had an unhealthy obsession with the future. He ruminated over everything that might go wrong, continually fearful of some unknown catastrophe. His psychic energy was drained by the worry, and he became emotionally brittle. He blew up at the slightest provocation. He was unable to take the train to work because it was intolerable to be jostled or even touched by other riders. There were nights when his wife woke up at 3 a.m. to find him in tears. He said, "When you get a flat tire, an ordinary person calls the AAA. I call the suicide hotline." He was given the standard treatment for depression, an antidepressant that changes the way the brain uses the here and now neurotransmitter serotonin, and he had an excellent response. Over the course of about a month, his mood gradually improved until he was once again bright and cheerful. He became more resilient and was able to enjoy the good things in his life. It was a relief to his wife as well. He thought it would be interesting to try a higher dose of the medication just to see what would happen, and his doctor agreed. "It felt great," he said at his next visit. "I was so happy there was nothing I needed to do. There was no reason to get out of bed in the morning." He and his doctor decided to reduce the dose to its previous level, and his emotional balance returned. The dramatic reaction this patient had to a serotonergic antidepressant occurs only in a few people who have just the right combination of genes and environment. But it's a good illustration of how a person can be disabled by both excessive focus on the future and an excessive enjoyment of the present. Dopamine and the here and now transmitters evolved to work together. They often act in opposition to one another, but that helps maintain stability among constantly firing brain cells. In many instances, though, dopamine and the here and now get thrown out of balance, especially on the dopaminergic side. The modern world drives us to be all dopamine all the time. Too much dopamine can lead to productive misery, while too much here and now can lead to happy indolence. The workaholic executive versus the pot-smoking basement dweller. Neither one is living a truly happy life or growing as a person. To live a good life, we need to bring them back into balance. We instinctively know that neither extreme is healthy, and that may be one of the reasons we like stories about people who start out with too much of one or the other and in the end find balance. The movie Avatar provides an example of someone who starts out with too much dopamine. A former Marine named Jake is hired to work for the security arm of a mining company. The company is intent on exploiting the natural resources of a moon called Pandora, which is covered by undisturbed forests and populated by the Na'vi, a race of humanoids who live in harmony with nature. The Na'vi worship a mother goddess called Ewa. It's an example of dopamine versus H&N. To maximize the resources they can dig up, the mining company plans to destroy the sacred tree of souls, which is in their way. Appalled at the plan, Jake rejects his dopaminergic background, joins the here and now Na'vi, and develops close affiliative relationships with members of the tribe. Combining his dopaminergic skills with his newly acquired ability to work together with the Na'vi, he organizes them and leads them to victory against the security forces of the mining company. In the end, with the help of the Tree of Souls, Jake becomes one of the Na'vi and achieves balance. The classic 1980s movie Trading Places takes us to a balance from the opposite direction. Billy Ray Valentine is an irresponsible homeless man. He's lazy, indulgent, and doesn't give any thought for the future. He becomes the subject of an experiment in which his life is swapped with that of a successful commodities trader who is his mirror image. As Billy Ray accumulates wealth, he rejects his formal carefree lifestyle and becomes responsible. In one scene, he invites a group of old friends to a party at his mansion and is uncharacteristically upset when they vomit on his Persian rug. In the end, he participates in an elaborately planned scheme that makes him rich, and returns him to a life of leisure, but with a new set of capabilities. How can the ordinary person find balance? It's unlikely that any of us will forsake the modern world to live with a clan of tree worshippers. We have to find balance in other ways. Dopamine alone will never satisfy us. It can't provide satisfaction any more than a hammer can turn a screw, but it's constantly promising us that satisfaction is right around the corner. One more donut, one more promotion, one more conquest. How do we get off the treadmill? It's not easy, but there are ways. Mastery, the pleasure of being good at something. Mastery is the ability to extract the maximum reward from a particular set of circumstances. One might achieve mastery over the video game Pac-Man, the sport racquetball, French cooking, or debugging a complicated computer program. From dopamine's point of view, mastery is a good thing, something to be desired and pursued. But it's different from doing other things. It's not simply finding food or a new partner or beating the competition. It's bigger and broader than that. It's reward extraction success. Dopamine achieving dopamine's goal. When mastery is achieved, dopamine has reached the pinnacle of its aspiration, squeezing every last drop out of an available resource. This is what it's all about. This is the moment to savor. Now in the present. Mastery is the point at which dopamine bows to the here and now. Having done all it can do, dopamine pauses and allows the here and now to have its way with our happiness circuits. Even if it's only for a short time, dopamine doesn't fight the feeling of contentment. It approves. The best basking is basking in a job well done. Mastery also creates a feeling of what psychologists call an internal locus of control. This phrase refers to the tendency to view one's choices and experiences as being under one's own control, as opposed to being determined by fate, luck, or other people. It's a good feeling. Most people don't like being at the mercy of forces beyond their control. Pilots say that when they're flying in hard weather, it's less stressful to be at the controls than to sit in the cabin. It's the same with driving in a snowstorm. Most people would rather be in the driver's seat than the passenger seat. In addition to making people feel good, an internal locus of control also makes people more effective. People with a strong sense of internal locus of control are more likely to achieve academic success and get high-paying jobs. Those who have an external locus of control, by contrast, take a more passive view of life. Some are happy, relaxed, and easygoing, but at the same time, they often blame others for their failures and may not put forth their best effort on a consistent basis. Doctors often become frustrated with this kind of patient. They tend to ignore medical advice, and they aren't easily persuaded to accept responsibility for their health by taking their medication every day and making healthy lifestyle choices. The development of an internal locus of control, as well as contentment, if only for a little while, are among the many benefits of achieving mastery over an activity. But it takes an enormous amount of time and effort, as well as constant mental stretching. Mastering a skill requires a student to constantly move outside her comfort zone. As soon as a piano player gets good at an easy song, she has to start on a harder one. It's a tough slog, but it can also be a great joy. Those who don't give up generally feel it was worth it. It can result in a feeling that they have found their passion, something so engrossing that they become completely immersed in it.